Lewis Hamilton's radio message after the race got leaked, and it's got fans buzzing and everyone else talking. Lewis Hamilton just delivered one of the most emotional and explosive comebacks of his Ferrari career at Imola in front of the roaring Tifosi. From a struggling start to nearly stealing the podium, Hamilton's Imola weekend was certainly eventful. And behind that, Ferrari's strategy shift, Leclerc's frustration, and a rising Red Bull storyline are reshaping the 2025 grid. So, is this the start of Hamilton's true Ferrari era, or just a one-time thing? Hit that like and subscribe, and let's break it all down. Lewis Hamilton didn't just drive a great race at Imola, he reminded everyone why he's still one of the sport's sharpest weapons. Starting from P12 after Ferrari's miserable Q2 exit, he sliced through the grid like it was 2008 again. The track layout at Imola is notoriously brutal for overtaking, yet Hamilton gained 8 spots, finishing just behind Oscar Piastri in P4. If the race had gone 2 laps longer, the 7-time world champion might have stolen Ferrari's first full-length podium of the year. His drive wasn't flashy, it was clinical. Precision tire management, patience, and near-perfect timing with the strategy gave Hamilton the edge. And once he crossed that line, his emotional radio message hit harder than any post-race stat. What a great race, guys! Fantastic stops, strategy, and the car felt great today. I'm so grateful, so proud. Grazie a tutti, and for the Tifosi, that was for them. Let's keep pushing and get that qualifying better, and we can race like that. And then we'll be winning.
Thanks so much, mate. Woo! What a great race, guys. Fantastic stops, strategy. The car felt great today. I'm so grateful, so proud. Grazie a tutti, and for the Tifosi.
It was a clear shout-out to the Tifosi who, despite Ferrari's stumbles, continued to show up in red. Ferrari's gamble on Hamilton isn't paying off in silverware yet, but this race showed a flash of what could be coming. And while Hamilton soared, Leclerc dropped down, which brings us to the other side of Ferrari's garage. Charles Leclerc walked away from Imola with P6, but his tone wasn't one of quiet progress, it was flat-out frustration. He called the result unacceptable, voicing what many Ferrari fans have felt all season. Starting from P11 and finishing behind his new teammate, Leclerc threw everything into the race, clashing with both Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly in some elbows-out racing that had the stewards and the fans paying close attention. Leclerc has been Ferrari's golden child for years, but with Hamilton arriving and showing he can match him in qualifying and outperform him on race day, the pressure is boiling over. The stats back the frustration. Leclerc has only one podium this season, P3 in Saudi Arabia.
Charles Leclerc scores Ferrari's first podium finish of the season
And is now 85 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. He says he doesn't regret the aggressive driving. He knew this race needed all he had and gave it. But really, it's clear his hopes for this year are fading fast. So why is Ferrari so far behind to start with on Friday and Saturday? That is something for Ferrari to think about. Ferrari's race strategy at Imola last Sunday was, for once, not a disaster. Hamilton even called it calm and concise, praising the pit wall and race engineer Riccardo Adami for finally clicking in rhythm. Ferrari made the right calls during the safety car and virtual safety car windows, helping Hamilton and Leclerc recover positions. But that success masks a deeper issue. Ferrari's raw pace is still not there. Despite upgrades, the SF25 struggles in qualifying. What's worse, Italian media isn't buying the narrative. Outlets like Corriere della Sera blasted Ferrari's performance, calling the driver's hopeful post-race quotes surreal, and accusing the team of making excuses. They're not wrong. This is Ferrari's home GP, and they walked away without a podium, and with one driver clearly at his wit's end. Meanwhile, Red Bull is showing exactly how you execute under pressure, and why Imola was their big bounce back. Max Verstappen didn't just win at Imola,
Max Verstappen wins the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.
he flipped the momentum in his favor. Red Bull has looked shaky in 2025, from mid-pack struggles to rumors about internal chaos. But Imola shifted the story. Verstappen used a good start, smart passes, and clever strategy to win by 7 seconds over Norris, even after a late caution almost ruined his lead. The key moment? The virtual safety car on lap 30. While Norris and Piastri were committed to undercutting strategies that left them in traffic, Verstappen stayed out, bided his time, and pitted during the VSC, losing only half the usual time. It was a classic Red Bull move, and it paid off. Meanwhile, McLaren's near-flawless season cracked. Their two-stop gamble failed to beat the undercut, and Piastri's early pit dropped him into a pack of slower cars. Norris couldn't close the gap to Verstappen despite staying out longer. The result? Max takes the win. Piastri settles for third, and just like that, the drivers' standings are getting spicy. Piastri 146, Norris 133, Verstappen 124. But even if passing is tough at Imola, it's much easier than what's coming. Smart planning was key this past race. Imola showed everyone that just being fast doesn't always win races. Strategy matters, and that's where teams like Red Bull and Ferrari separated themselves from the rest. Hamilton's recovery wasn't just passing cars. It was choosing the best times, staying out of trouble, and believing in his team. And for the first time this year, that belief worked out. Hamilton credited a small fix on the car that helped stabilize the setup, a reminder of just how fine the margins are. He also praised Riccardo Adami for the communication that kept the team cool during crunch time. Ferrari's pit crew was very good. The stops were quick. The plan was brave but smart, and the result was a car that Hamilton said felt like a win. It wasn't just technical, it was emotional. This was Hamilton's first race at Imola as a Ferrari driver. After unfollowing the team on social media, dealing with media heat, and getting dropped from Q2, he needed this. But was this just a lucky day or the real beginning of Ferrari getting back on top? What happens next will tell us everything. All signs point to Monaco as the next inflection point in the 2025 season. It's not only the most famous and most awaited race, but also because new rules from the FIA about flexible wings are starting then. A technical change that could really mix up the starting order. Fred Vasseur and Christian Horner both hinted McLaren might lose some edge, especially if their performance has been helped by the flexible wings limit loophole. And then there's Ferrari. Monaco exposed the SF25's flaws in simulations, and Leclerc is already bracing for a tough weekend, despite winning there last year. But Hamilton, he's on the rise. If Ferrari can finally get qualifying right, especially on a track where track position is everything, he could go from fourth to fighting for first. The standings are tightening. McLaren leads the constructors' race with 279 points. Mercedes trails by 132, but Red Bull is quickly closing the gap. The drivers' battle is anyone's guess. Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, and even Hamilton, especially if Ferrari's Imola form holds, are still in this. The next stop for Formula One is the streets of Monte Carlo, where there is no margin for error. Can Hamilton carry this momentum into a track where precision is everything? Let's hope he does. It will be interesting to watch. So, after talking about the excitement and how Hamilton's spark and Ferrari's plans finally worked out, we now see Leclerc's frustration growing. Red Bull found their rhythm again, and McLaren stumbled when it mattered most. This race wasn't just like any other we saw earlier this season. It was like a restart button, showing that the 2025 season is still on. The standings are tightening, and Monaco will be a thriller to watch. What do you think? Can Hamilton push for a win in Monaco, or will Ferrari fall apart under new FIA regulation? We would really like to hear your verdict on these in the comments. Like the video and don't forget to subscribe for updates.